Last week, the U.S. military issued orders to deploy the 82nd Airborne Division to the Middle East. On March 30th, thousands of troops arrived in the region. Two officials told the Reuters agency that President Trump is considering sending several thousand more troops to the area. The 82nd Airborne Division, All-American, is a United States Army Airborne Infantry division that specializes in parachute assault, based in Fort Bragg, North Carolina. The paratroopers are being deployed alongside thousands of additional Navy personnel, Marines, and Special Operations Forces already sent to the region. Over the weekend, approximately 2,500 Marines arrived in the Middle East. Officials, who spoke on condition of anonymity, did not reveal the exact destination of the troops, though the deployment had been anticipated. The added Army personnel include components of the 82nd Airborne Division's headquarters, as well as logistics units, support elements, and a brigade combat team. No decision has been made to deploy forces into Iran. However, according to one source, these deployments are intended to increase readiness for potential future operations in the region. This is one of the most dangerous conflicts in the world right now. A war involving the United States, Iran, and Israel, and potentially the entire Middle East. What started as targeted strikes has now escalated into a full-scale regional crisis, affecting global oil markets, international alliances, and millions of civilians. And the situation is changing fast. The scale of the war has grown rapidly. The U.S. has carried out thousands of strikes, targeting missile systems, naval forces, defense infrastructure. One of the most important attacks happened on Karg Island, Iran's main oil export hub. This island handles up to 90% of Iran's oil exports, making it a critical strategic target. Karg Island, located in the Persian Gulf, is one of the most strategically important effects not only on Iran's revenue but also on global oil markets. Although relatively small in size, the island is heavily developed and fortified. It contains major oil export terminals, storage facilities, pipelines, and defensive systems designed to protect it from both air and sea threats. There is also a small airport on the island, used primarily for logistics and personnel transport. Its geographic position makes access limited to air and sea routes, which creates a situation where the island can be both easier to isolate and, at the same time, challenging to sustain operations on. From a strategic perspective, control or neutralization of Karg Island would offer several advantages. First, it would place significant economic pressure on Iran by limiting its ability to export oil. Second, its isolated offshore location makes movements to and from the island more predictable and easier to monitor. If one side establishes strong air superiority in the area, it can severely restrict reinforcements or resupply efforts. Additionally, targeting such a high-value asset sends a powerful strategic signal, potentially influencing both military calculations and diplomatic negotiations. However, there are serious limitations and risks associated with any operation involving the island. Iran considers Karg Island a top priority asset, meaning it is heavily defended with layered air defense systems and likely supported by nearby naval forces. Its proximity to the Iranian mainland allows for rapid response using missiles, drones, and fast naval units. Even if control were established temporarily, maintaining it would be difficult, as the island would remain highly vulnerable to continuous strikes. Fixed infrastructure, including oil facilities and the airfield, can be easily targeted, making long-term stability uncertain. Logistics also present a major challenge. Any sustained presence would require constant resupply via air or sea, both of which would need protection. This increases operational complexity and resource requirements. At the same time, striking or attempting to control such a vital economic could significantly escalate the conflict, potentially triggering broader retaliation across the region. The airport on Karg Island adds another layer of strategic importance. It allows for rapid movement of personnel and equipment and could serve as a logistics and surveillance hub. However, it is also highly exposed. Missile or drone attacks could quickly render the runway unusable, limiting its effectiveness and complicating any sustained operations. Overall, Karg Island represents a critical choke point. Its importance lies not just in its infrastructure but in its role in Iran's economy and the wider global energy system. Any action involving this location would carry both significant strategic value and substantial risk, making it one of the most sensitive targets in the entire conflict. Meanwhile, Israel has struck Iranian energy infrastructure, including gas fields and refineries. These attacks caused major disruptions in energy production and spikes in global oil prices. And Iran has not held back. Its retaliation includes missile attacks across the region, drone strikes on infrastructure, threats to shipping routes like the Strait of Hormuz. This is no longer a limited conflict. It's a regional war. The United States is rapidly increasing its military presence. Thousands of troops have been deployed to the Middle East. Additional forces include Marines, Navy personnel, and Special Operations units. The United States has also deployed multiple aircraft carrier strike groups, signaling readiness for larger operations. Possible objectives being discussed: securing the Strait of Hormuz and targeting Iran's military capabilities, even seizing strategic locations like Karg Island. But there's a key point. So far, no full ground invasion of Iran has been confirmed, and that decision could define how far this war goes. This conflict is extremely volatile. Several factors make it especially dangerous. Regional involvement groups like the Houthis and Hezbollah are already engaging in attacks. 2. Global energy impact. Oil prices are rising sharply, affecting economies worldwide. Iran has threatened United States assets, global shipping, and regional allies. Even a single miscalculation could trigger a much wider war. Back in the United States, support for the war is declining. Polls show around 66% of Americans want the war to end quickly and strong opposition to sending ground troops. At the same time, fuel prices are rising, economic concerns are growing, political pressure is increasing. Despite this, officials say the war may be nearing a finish line, but not immediately. There are signs of possible diplomacy. Talks may be hosted. Trump has suggested. The U.S. could leave the conflict pretty quickly, but may return if needed. However, goals remain clear: regime change and weakening Iran military power and resetting influence of Iran in the region. This uncertainty makes the situation even more unstable. Right now, the Iran war sits at a critical moment. It could de-escalate into negotiations or expand into a much larger regional conflict. The next few days and decisions will likely determine which path the world takes. If you want clear updates on global conflicts and what they really mean, stay tuned, because this story is far from over.